The interest that the United States has, it is in Mexico where you have the largest community of Americans living. It's there's the United States, and then there's Mexico. So I think that's another very important story. Now, the economy story I think is very interesting because, like Alfredo said, there's a lot of good news, but, and then you kind of look into the good news and you can debate as to whether how good it is or not. And the same thing with tourism. A lot of people are still traveling to Mexico, but
22 million just last year. So.
Many are staying home too.
So there is a lot of things that we're not talking about, and we just need to find the way to get away from this narco stories and the violence and kind of look a little bit beyond.
And Reid, what's your perception here from LA? What are the stories you wish you could be doing back in Mexico right now?
Yeah, well, there's a couple that I've been meaning to do for a while, but thank God for artists and culture, because they can sort of help us sometimes to begin to grapple with things that are, just almost too bleak or difficult. Very close from here, 2.5 hours down in Tijuana, there's a group of artists who are actually finding ways to address, what's going on in Tijuana. It's been fairly quiet recently, but they've, had terrible violence breaking out there. There's a new museum that opened about 2 years ago. Maybe some of you have been down there and could tell me about it. I still haven't made it down there, called Casa del Tunel. And it's a tunnel that was used by the narcos to smuggle drugs under the border. You may know there are networks, apparently, of tunnels, all along the U.S. border that have been used for this purpose and to smuggle immigrants as well. And a group of people got together and said, this is a great space, and so they bought the house, and they're using, the tunnel underneath for exhibition space, and have done a series of exhibitions, dealing with mixed media and that kind of thing. It's a new project. It's getting some backing from the city of Los Angeles, and I think from the Cultural Affairs Department. Also down in Tijuana, I'm sure some of you know, there's been a very, it's a real hotbed of art. And the aesthetic has been a kind of do-it-yourselfer, essentially kind of taking a lot of the, the cast-offs and the refuse from both sides of the border and turning that into art. And there's also been a very dynamic electronic music scene in Tijuana, and has produced, artists who now tour all over the world. And one of the things they've begun to do is the tourist bars along Revolucion and the main kind of tourist drags. The tourists aren't coming. So a lot of these artists are going back now to these bars that have been sort of vacated by us gringos, and they're using them now to kind of reconnect with each other and do new projects and, have mashups and have, all-night music parties. And that's, it would be obviously absurd and kind of foolish to, set that alongside, the body count and the, terrible costs. But it is one way, I think, of opening a window into, these issues and beginning to be able to talk about them.